Avinash, I think you're muted and you're speaking on mute.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Welcome to Docker Meet AI Revolutionizing Machine Learning Workflow. Today we have our two speakers. One is Arvind Veru and Ajit. Arvind will be walking through us on the live only directly. He's like we'll walk into on the practical data centric AI, which using the how to improve the own data set also, right? So that's what we'll be talking about. And next we'll have Ajit. He will be talking about the Hugging Space and the Docker integration, LLM. It's a kind of perfect combo for ML of Steam. So Ajit will be have a recorded session one, and now we'll hand over to the Arvind. Page your Arvind.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope audio is clear, Avinash, and then you can let me know in the message.
Yeah, his audio is clear. We are good to go.
Okay. Thank you. So, hello, folks, and a very good morning. I am joining from Europe. It's a bit early for me, but then I'm really excited to talk to you all today. Uh, what I'm going to present is more about data and data engineering, more on data. If you are like somebody interested in the data analytics or business intelligence, or if you're somebody who is very much excited about machine learning, data science, or AI, more specifically, the buzzword right now. I think you should definitely listen to it, and it also doesn't involve a lot of complex concepts, but also like something very simple and easy as well. So what I'll do is like quickly present the screen and showcase some important things that we've been talking all the way. Uh, Let me share the right window. Yeah, sometimes choosing the window itself is a bit tricky, but then anyway, let me start doing that. Okay, I hope you're all able to see the presentation. Um, I'll give it a minute to load and properly share, and maybe Avinash, please put the presentation on the stage as well, so that would help us. Okay,
Yeah, presentation is on, Arvind.
okay, makes sense. Thank you. So more specifically, I think like I started to look at the data when LLMs or large language models or like the even pre LLMs when you're talking about machine learning. I have come across this data set called MNIST, wherein the data set specifically is used for basic training, like gradient descent and logical regression. These are regular, normal mathematical machine learning models, which is used to detect what is there in the image. So it's like you show an image, it will tell you what number it is. Like these are images which are hand drawn. I mean, like the small images, and then your model will learn and start predicting the data. But the important piece of like the a machine learning model training is your training set, right? You have to train the model, and for that you need a training data set, and the data set contains data which have labels, right? Say if you, it's like teaching a kid, right? You are telling that this is color red, this is color yellow, this is color green. So whenever there is a next traffic signal and there is red, the kid automatically points out it's red. So in the similar manner, to train your machine learning model or your data science workflow, whatever you're using, more so in the case of large language models, you need this data to be clear and qualitative, not just quantitative, like but also qualitative, to have accurate predictions uh, done by your model. So this label training, like this if the labels are wrong, like say if there is a red color and you mark it as green, right? The model gets confused. Similarly, if there is like say a number which is denoted as three, but you are in the real picture, we could understand it's three, but it is labeled as five, right? Or it is confused to be five or like seven. It is completely going wrong, right? So in real world, most of the data that we have is like flawed, or it has some near duplicates, it has some issues with like maybe the column is empty. So we all see this data within our data itself. Say, for example, if you are thinking about our Aadhaar data, uh, or our ration card data, or different types of data that we have with governments itself, as you could see that there are mistakes in our name, our address, the way that it's being spelled. Different companies, like private companies, let's say your travel company or your like cell phone company, they might be using or representing your data, address, everything in a different formats. So real world data is quite flawed and messy. And so what people do is, like, they try to give it this work to away to somebody, and then try to fix this manually. uh, so the data is flawed anyway, and then it won't give you correct results. So this is where Clean Lab, which is an open source package, which led this data centric AI initiative at MIT. And the Clean Lab is like used all across Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and like, all major companies where there are AI assistants like Google Home or Alexa, or a lot of these AI assistants that used to help. So what it does is, like, clarifies or cleans the data using AI, which is like the, say, if you want to train an LLM with a specific type of data, like, say, a few prompts, and then you want the LLM to understand what you're trying to ask here. So I think that's where Clean Lab would come in, and Clean Lab could help you. I'll showcase more detailed one. Clean Lab has it's as the open source project is really popular. It is Python, and it has more tutorials that, if you could probably, if you are more acquainted with a specific type of framework or something, you could also use that, and more as well. So so if you're looking for, say, like I originally pointed out, I'll go through some specific examples and the code, and then we'll see Clean Lab Studio, which is more of like a no-code way of doing things. If you're an analyst who using Tableau, Power BI, or Kibana, or a lot of these Superset, Lightdash, a lot of these analytics use case, I think you could learn it from there as well. So here, as you could see, this is an image of a kid, wherein kid is wearing, as we could see, is like wearing glasses, yes, wearing hat, yes, wearing gloves. No, I know that this is like a cream or some paint, right? But then original tags for these. But then wearing sweater, wearing shoes is something that we really want the thing to detect. So what CleanLab does is, like, make sure that the AI itself will help you create this particular data. So it can do the find label issues, and also predict probability, and, like, says that multi-label. I spoke about MNIST data, as you could see. In all this, like, clothing data, as you could see, these are shoes, chappal, and, like, trousers, tops, and all. There is one number which is more of like, which is a number I told, and I think it's like an outlier, right? If you are looking at something like out of distribution, you could also do outliers and out of distribution data as well. So similarly, you could also find out low quality examples. Say, if you have a specific data set of images, but something that really not fits into the exact area, like if it is blurry or if it's near duplicates, you could also find out using the Image Lab API, and give the folder, and it will automatically find it out. All of this is like uses an ensemble of different machine learning models to figure out what is there in that. It's called a confident learning. It's a methodology propagated by the founders of Clean Lab at MIT, and all founders were I mean, like, have done their work at MIT, and then they're now taking this as like an open source project. So especially, like, to improve your accuracy to the model, and say, for example, test an accuracy of a fine-tuned OpenAI language model. If your label issues are fixed in the data, I think what happens over a period of time is, like, your accuracy or your reasoning or responsiveness of the model improves tremendously. So that's what is shown in the graph here. Like, see how you could use a classifier, you could use to fit the training data, and then improve predictions, and then eventually it will improve the whatever you are trying to reason. Um, so yeah, you could also analyze data from multiple annotators, like, say, for example, uh, if you have different, you want to analyze the label data and also like find out what sort of annotations that are given and how much qualitative they are, you would also analyze that as well. So yeah, I can go deeper, and there are multiple ways that you could go and do this. I'll showcase a demo without really digging deeper into more of the specifics. But also, like, if you are interested to contribute to the Clean Lab package, we are part of Hacktoberfest, and you could come join and talk about Clean Lab. I mean, or contribute to Clean Lab in many ways, like be it a tutorial with specific machine learning framework, or if it is like a contribution that you could make to an open source issue. Either way, it works actually. CleanLab works with most data modalities, be it is like image or a text or audio and tabular. CleanLab package works with most of it, and it can detect seasonalities, it can detect label errors, duplicates, and a lot of that. Yeah. So it also works with most of the machine learning frameworks that you see, like TensorFlow, Scikit-learn, or XGBoost, and a lot of this PyTorch, Hugging Face, and many more. So you just need to give away the data set, and it will work on and showcase, what it can do. So more importantly, I think the point that I want to drive home here is, like, as you could see, data is the folder for the all those models, and then your data itself is really messy in real world, and it's a fact. It's not something like an opinion. So you could use AI itself to clean up the data and make the data better, so that your accuracy of predictions, be it like using a large language model like GPT-4, or GPT 3.5, or Llama, or whatever, right? Or be it your regular machine learning models predicting sentiment across reviews, etc. So anything, the ML model will improve the overall stuff. So yeah, I think you can start as a clean lab slash clean lab, like GitHub Clean Lab is an org, and then Clean Lab is a package. There are three packages actually: Clean Lab Studio, Clean Lab Vision. Please give us a star for all of this. If you are interested, please contribute. And if you want to give this one a try, you could also sign up to Clean Lab Studio, which I'm going to showcase right away. So let me quickly go back and showcase the screen. Unless I would want you to like again share once I share the screen. I think you could help me. Uh, so yeah, you could put the other one in the screen. Exactly. So now I'm going to demo Clean Lab Studio, which is something that is built on the Clean Lab open source package. Clean Lab Studio is like, you could sign up to Clean Lab Studio as like cleanlabstudio.ai/sign up. It's like you could try the product if you are not something like a Python or a machine learning superpower. You could still use it and then do it. So you could practically, like, upload a number of data sets and then try this project by yourself. They like, it's quite easy as well. So just see if you could, if you have a in data set, and it could find issues automatically. So in the interest of time, I'm not uploading all of the data set and showcasing everything, but I could showcase how it would really look like. So I clicked on the Clean Lab, like upload data set, and I have this banking intent classification. The dataset itself looks like this, which will come in a minute. It's a second inference schema, and it will showcase this. So it's like categorizing different types of customer requests. Say somebody opened an issue, like say I accidentally made a payment to a wrong account. What should I do? And then says cancel transfer, right? It's like it's putting it automatically putting it to different categories of customer requests that customer has made. So that's the label actually, and that the text is like what is the type of the text that customer has put out in their request. Similarly, I no longer want to transfer funds. Can we cancel the transaction, like cancel transfer? So yeah, so cancel my transfer, please. So all of that. So as you could see, it generated this, and if you confirm that, it'll take to the next step and showcase more stuff. So it also loads the data set and showcases what the data set contains, how many rows. Um, you can create metadata and like shows all data is uploaded successfully. So, but I have, in the interest of time, I think I uploaded the dataset, because what happens is when you upload, it will infer, it will showcase everything, and it will bring up all of that. So I'm just not like, going to upload the dataset again, because I already did this a couple of times. And then I have all the data uploaded, and I just need to click on create a project. I have even have done that. But then what I want to do here is like just showcase how, if you want to create a project, how it would really look like. Say the product is automatically given a specific name, so don't worry about the name. So we are making it simpler for you as well. But then there are different tasks that Clean Lab can do in sorting out your dataset issues. Say one is like text classification, tabular classification, and some other machine learning data. What is text classification? Say, for example, you have uh, say for example, if you have label issues, and and then it's in the single column of your data set, and you want to correct that, um, you could use text classification. Tabular classification is, as the name suggests, is more about like subset of multiple columns that you could use. Here we have one specific standard text, and then the label might not be right, so it's one text classification that you could use. And then you also have multi-class and multi-label. Say, for example, if you have an image, and that belongs to multiple classes, like say image of dogs, and then there are different types of dogs, Alsatian, Pomeranian, etc., etc. And then you want to attach what dogs are in this picture, and then you want to attach multiple labels, right? So you can attach all the breeds. So exactly one out of k classes. Um, so you also have, say for example, many labels to one dog as well. So it's like categorizing into different species as well, or categorizing into um, multiple types of one particular image, or to multiple types of labels. Say if you have a review uh, that is pointing out, say, not just negative and positive in a binary method, but also like say um, a review that is saying like, talks about a specific product, like say, and then talks about a specific movie that it says, like say book my show review, right? So talks about a specific feature of the product. So you could attach multiple labels, so you could categorize them. You could also train the data in that manner. So again, it has a data set, and you could also say clean lab AutoML. In fact, AutoML is something that is like brought in by this team at the clean lab into the industry, and a lot of AutoML tasks that you see is also like powered by the original academic research behind the clean lab team. You also have a course, DCAI course, which is data centric AI course at MIT. I'll try to drop in the link in the chat, so that you could get a probably get this thing by yourself, and you could do it as well. So there are two different ways to train this model as well. Like, you have regular, you have fast. Clean Lab actually uses, like I said, multiple state of the art models to detect, find label issues in your data. And so you could just pick whatever you want. I picked fast in the interest of time again. And I have created a project for you here already. So so that, and then like you could see the issues with that specific project. Let me click here. So this is how, once the training is completed, you would see the data would be like I say, for example, let me take this example. uh, the text is, will I be sent a new card before mine expires? And the given label is Apple Pay or Google Pay. Actually, it doesn't contain to both categories. Actually, it's about card about to expire, because like they were asking the card about expired, it was labeled wrongly. So you could say needs review, exclude. You could also do all of this. Uh, you know, Press the specific keyword type, and then it will add the relevant label and correct the data. You could also obviously let clean the top k, like, or like, select everything, and then clean it all the way and download the clean set. So you could also do multiple of these. All of this also available as an API, that Clean Lab Studio thing. If you want to connect multiple of your data warehouses like Snowflake or Databricks, or your AWS services, however you want to do it, it's possible. So in this area, like, you have this well labeled, like, properly labeled. You have these categories like label issues, something that has a specific labels. You have some near duplicates, as you could see. I have one another credit card from the US. Do you take it? I have one. Do you take that? So probably it's the same person submitted two requests. It was created. So you could also reduce the number of tickets and close and mark something duplicate, something like GitHub duplicate issues. If you have come across, you have something like ambiguous, um, like, which is not, which needs some human help there. You have something outliers, which is like, say, for example, something like this, right? It's a number. Maybe unfortunately they want to type and submit, but then it got submitted before it, so it doesn't really include it. If you train your data with all this junk, it will completely like give you wrong stuff. So I think that's where Clean Lab comes in and helps you to do all of this. So you could simply click on, like, say, exclude or use whatever the thing is, like, it will mark, and then you could also do that. So once you go through this data and you agree to what the model has done here, you could deploy this model, and from next time you could save this model. Like, say, if I click deploy, it says model name, I'll create the model name is doing blah 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 and all. And next time when I upload similar data set, and then next time I keep bringing the same data set for either training or cleaning or modifying. I think the important thing that happens here is the same model which I trained on the same type of data model or data schema will help predict the right, clean up the right data. So it becomes as automatic as it is. You'll also see some analytics on top of the data set that you have here, like, say, how many label issues, outliers, and all. Say potential label issues by class. Say, for example, if you have Apple or Google Pay beneficiary not available, so each area, each label, how many label issues. Say, for example, if somebody in the customer service or somewhere, the labeling itself is being going wrong, people are understanding it wrongly, so you could also figure out that. um, you also see what are the most used like just the regular data analytics around the data automatically, that surfaces, and also the distribution of your data, how many people are pointing out when you compare, like, how many labels are misunderstood and it should be going to a different area. Like, say, Apple or Google Pay, most are marked, but then it should ideally go to the supported card and currencies. Very interesting, right? So you, or like, Visa or Mastercard, it's going to beneficiary not allowed is coming here, but then actually it should go to change bin. So more of that area, and you'll also see what pre-trained model, what stuff it is being given, and what's the accuracy. It's like 89%, and then what's the time that is it has taken took the inference, and what is the training time as well to use this model. So yeah, I think there are more and more stuff around clean lab. Like, say, for example, the docs and the guides have more information on how do you get this done with different types of data, like images, etc. I have not gone through, like, say, for example, if you look at this image data, it talks about image, and how it is being done. Like, say, this image is like a turtle near duplicate and a lot of that. So it's very interesting, to me at least. Like, it found it to be like a fantastic application of AI, apart from the GPT-4 and all. There might be, like, many other similar attempts that people were data science teams were doing. If you are in the data world, if you are a data analytics person, if you want to clean up the data, properly bring the data to a safe state, like a feature engineer this data. So I think that's where, like, all of this would come and play a major role. So that's it from my side. If you have more questions, I'm happy to take questions. But otherwise, thanks for the session, Docker Meetup group. Thanks, Ajit and Avidash, for running this for today. And yeah, if you have any questions, happy to answer.
Hey, thanks, Arvind, for giving a nice walkthrough on the clean lab and data set. Like we were like very amazed with that. You give an example of our Aadhaar data also. Like a lot of things are there, and data is nowadays very crucial. So clean up the data and make the proper models of the data is very important part also. Like, do you have any kind of example which can be suited our like the kind of Indian based database also. Like as we have Aadhaar also, there are many more also. Like we have a lot of the, I mean, credit data also is there, right? Based on that also, is there something is going to clean up? A lab is going to help on that part.
So I think this open source package by default is so amazing. I mean, see, I
Hmm.
think again there are many such attempts. Like I said, this is not like people were trying to do this one, but this is like more successful, and it's used in many regular day. It's already used in many Fortune 500 companies
Oh,
that we usually use in our workflow. Like I can't say some of the names, but then like public areas are like Google, Home, and Alexa, and they use the training for using Clean Lab. They build that all of this training data and then accurate predictions. When it comes to Indian data, I think it will be able to help. Say, for example, to find near duplicates uh, in while it talks about specifically about machine learning and prediction. If you want to clean up your data, right,
hmm.
just to do analytics. Say, for example, if I am somebody like a IAS officer, and then I really want to understand who are the beneficiaries of people in the ration card data set, and I just want to clean up all the duplicates in the ration card. You want to
Right.
deduplicate the ration card based on Aadhaar number or whatever, right? And you could do that here. Just import the data, and
Yeah.
then it automatically does that for you. Similarly, if you are looking at, say, sometimes some data set contains empty values. It's not
Hmm.
fixed. This step is also called as data prep. There are many workflows in cloud native as well as, like, in the Docker step as well. People use it, many tools to kind of like bridge this gap. It's called data prep. There are tools for it specifically. People who are in this line, they could definitely use and definitely learn more and do that. Yeah. So using clean lab.
Yeah, yeah, it will be very helpful tool. Like, and our Indian startup ecosystem, are lot of startups are working on nowadays. Like I think from last 3 4 years, data only. Like fintechs are purely on data, like, behavioral models of the whole bank statement. Good. Thank you very much for your
Thank
time
you.
and giving information on that part. Thank you.
Thank you, Avinash. Thank you. Have a nice day. Have a nice
Yeah,
day, everyone.
yeah. So now we'll move to the next sessions. That is our Ajit session. Ajit today is not available, so but we'll have a recorded session. So he'll be talking about like a Docker and the Hugging Face and LLM combination, and it's kind of a perfect combination for the MLOps, right? So he will talk about like how it's MLOps, right? So let's get ready to listen from the Ajit, like what he's bringing to the stage.
Model. Let us get started. Let me start talking about myself. I am currently working in Docker as part of the DevRel team. I joined Docker last year in the month of April, but have been part of Docker community since last 7 years. I'm also author at collaborix.com. It's a blogging site with around 450 plus blogs on Docker, Kubernetes, and cloud. I'm also a former Docker captain, the selected number of Docker influencers who just share knowledge about Docker and its interesting developer tooling. I'm also part of Docker community leaders. There are hundreds of community leaders all across the globe, and I am part of them. We organize meetup in Bangalore as well as virtually for other meetup groups. I'm also part of ARM Ambassador. I work very closely with the ARM community and do POCs around IoT devices like Raspberry Pi, Jetson Nano. In the past, I have worked in companies like Dell EMC for almost like 8.5 years, VMware for 2 years, Redis for 2 years, and 2.5 years in CGI. Now, to start with presentation, I am going to talk about Hugging Face. Now, there are few companies that I know have really interesting evolution. One of them is Hugging Face. I still remember back in 2017, this startup was more focused on a consumer app. It looked like yet another messaging app, but interestingly, the company kept iterating on its natural language processing technology, which called as the NLP. Then things started getting traction when Hugging Face released their transformer library on GitHub, and that changed the complete game, attracting tons of attention, which it has currently with around 112,000 stars and 22K folks on the platform. And today, Hugging Face is rightly called as GitHub of machine learning. It's a community-driven platform with tons of repositories, and developers on MLOps engineers can go ahead, create, discover, and collaborate on ML models. And if you look at the stats here, you will be surprised to know that Hugging Face Transformer GitHub repo has surpassed the Kubernetes repository by the huge number of GitHub stars. So if you look at Hugging Face Transformer, it has around 112K GitHub stars compared to Kubernetes, which just has around 102K, which shows like, the Kubernetes has been a mature technology for the matured orchestration engine today, and it has a huge number of contributors. But think of it as in numbers in terms of like, especially comparing with the PyTorch and other libraries. Hugging Face Transformer has been doing a great job. There has been a lot of people who have been contributing, especially the developers and MLOps engineers. Now, so one of the question which I have been most often asked is like, what is Hugging Face? What do they do? So Hugging Face is a company that provides developers and MLOps engineers with all the tools that are required to build an app using machine learning. So it is an open source platform. It focuses on NLP, which called as a natural language processing technology, and machine learning models. It also has gained a significant popularity in NLP community, and that is due to the contribution in the form of a pre-trained models which they have, libraries, tools, resources that makes it much easier for researchers and developers to work with NLP tasks. And also, let's not forget, I think the transformer library is kind of a bread and butter for Hugging Face. With transformers library, you can leverage your popular NLP models such like BERT, which is we call it as a BERT, and then GPT-2, T5. You can use those models to manipulate the text in one way or another. For example, what you can classify the text, extract the information, automatically answer the questions, summarize the text, generate the text. All of these things can be happened by this popular library for NLP task. Now, you might be thinking about what is the success behind this particular transformer GitHub repo. And if you look at the transformer, right, it is basically backed by the three most popular deep learning libraries. We call it as a TensorFlow, PyTorch, and JAX. So I will spend some time visiting each one of them and try to make you understand like how this integration completely work. So if you look at TensorFlow, right? TensorFlow is widely used in your production environment, particularly in scenario where scalability and the model deployment are very critical, such as in large scale web services and IoT application. It has a strong support for model deployment, serving, and optimization through TensorFlow Serving and TensorFlow Lite. Now coming to PyTorch, as we are already aware, this particular project has around 65K stars. It is widely used for a variety of ML and deep learning tasks, from computer vision to natural language processing. It's a preferred choice for many researchers, and it also supports GPU acceleration and distributed training. And lastly, but not the least, is the JAX. It is a popular library which helps you to develop the custom machine learning algorithm that requires fine-grained control over the gradients. It also provides you with a NumPy-like interface for array operations. It also supports GPU and TPU acceleration. So with these deep learning libraries, Transformer has been loved by the MLOps as well as the developers. Now, one of the things which we really need to understand is what problem does Hugging Face solve? And if you look at primarily, there are three things. The first is access to your pre-trained models. So Hugging Face provides you with a library of pre-trained models for a variety of NLP tasks, which includes text classification, question answering, and machine translation. These models can be used to build popular application with minimal effort. The second one is a reproducibility, which means that it provides you with the tools and resources that makes it easy but to reproduce the machine learning results. And then the third one is a collaboration. Hugging Face has been a great tool. If you go to their portal, you can see the GitHub repo by default, and then you can always go ahead and share your work with other developers. So it provides you a platform to share and collaborate on machine learning models and database and data sets. So let's move ahead and talk about few of the things which I want to highlight. The first one is Hugging Face Hub, which is again more than just a repo. So Hub works as a central place where all your developers can explore, experiment, collaborate, and build technology with machine learning. It's just more than a repo. It is an online ecosystem where collaboration thrives. Like, it serves you as a centralized arena where individuals from a diverse background, they can come together, they can explore, they can experiment, and collectively build machine learning solution. And you can look at the stats here. Today it has around 150k models, which is like a huge number. Over 50k ML apps, and then 20k data sets. So there is a huge, this it's a huge figure. Basically, if you look at last 4 to 5 years, there has been an exponential growth in terms of models and ML apps. Then one of the thing which I want to talk about is hugging space, uh, Hugging Face spaces. These are the spaces, but not, they are nothing but the Git repositories that host application code for your ML demos. You can build spaces with Python libraries like Streamlit, Grady, or even you can use Docker images. At this point of time, there are currently around 5,000 plus Hugging Face spaces. There are way to host your machine learning demo apps directly on your profile or in your organization profile. One of the most interesting thing is it allows you to create your ML portfolio, showcase your projects, and work collaboratively with other people in the ML ecosystem. So they are quite popular, and you can see the screenshot here. If you go to the Hugging Face, on the top right, you will see models, dataset, and you click on spaces, and you can see all these spaces. And one of the question you might have is how Hugging Face is directly connected to the Docker. And last year Hugging Face introduced a concept called as Docker spaces. So as you know that using space, it makes it easy to create and deploy ML powered application and demos in minutes. And then the Hugging Face, what they did, they basically added for the support for the Docker spaces, which enables you know to enables you to write a Docker file to create any kind of a custom apps which you want to build. And unfortunately, right now we don't have a support for Docker Compose, but at the same time, you can use Dockerfile to just go ahead and specify and make the customization to the code and then make it work. So which means that if you have a Docker file, if you have a complete code, you could just upload it to the Hugging Face environment and done. So on the right hand side, you can see here, it gives you a provision where you can just go ahead and select Docker as an SDK. You can choose a Docker templates, choose the hardware, because these models require a GPU, which you can't run it on your normal laptop, right? You need to have access to those instances which has a GPU accelerator, right? So it gives you an option where you can select 16 GB, up to 16 GB of free instance, and then you can deploy your model. So let us see Hugging Face Docker Spaces in action. So if you see here, this is one of the screenshot. So you can go to the Hugging Face site, select any of the space name, select any of the licenses. You can select one of the SDKs. So right now we have Streamlight Gradio um, Docker. You can also see there are around 10 templates here. Once you click on it, you can see these Docker templates. You can select one of them, select the space hardware, and done. Now if you select few of those templates like chat UI, which basically needs more, more advanced instances. So for example, the chat UI has been submitted by one of the author, which says like, okay, it might not work on your laptop, or it might not work on your simple or since instance, which has like 16 GB is insufficient for it. So it always recommend that at least you have this particular hardware where we can run in on 10G small hardware, which you can select it. But again, there is a pricing which is attached to it, so you need to be careful when you are selecting this. So let me jump into this particular demo and talk about Docker Spaces in a bit. So if you see here, there is a dedicated page called as Docker Spaces on Hugging Face. And these spaces accommodate the custom Docker containers for apps outside the scope of Streamlight and Gradio. So if you don't want to select all those, you can select this space. And this allows the users to go beyond the limit of what was previously possible with the standard SDK, because now you are running those ML models inside a container. So you can select Docker and SDK. So one of the example which I can show you here is, even you can go and make the changes in a README file. So when you select Docker and SDK, when creating a new space, it will initialize your space by setting the SDK property to Docker in your README. So if you can see here, the emojis, color forms, so those are kind of a customization which you can always go ahead and make, right? Now, if you go down, you will see that what are the things which are supported, especially if you look at the Docker file. Like there are certain properties. Docker file has health check, Docker file where you can go ahead and use secrets and all of these things. So right now, if you see, you can manage a space environment variable in the space settings. So you can pass the argument here during the build time, and then you can also inject the secrets here during the build time. So in Docker space, the secret manager is different for security reasons, and that you can do with the settings tag. So if you look in the repo, you will see the settings tab. Here you are just doing the mount point of the type secrets, and then you can also specify the especially the secrets are mostly they are stored in run secrets and then the secrets example. So that is what you can pass it right here. Also, it is recommended as one of the best practices, whenever you run any of the Docker container, you run it as non-root user. So you can set those. So that is also supported. And as you go down, you will see that even the data persistence is supported here, and you can also see few of the examples here, right? So let me go back and try to pick up one of the examples here. So if you see there, so see here, there are sample Docker spaces for you around, say, I would say 7 to 8, and I'm going to pick up any three of them and show you how it works. So let us start with a dummy fast API app. So let me go ahead and create this. So um, this particular example doesn't require GPU, but at the same time, it shows you how you can run an Hello World fast API example on Hugging Face. And right now, if you see, I just ran this particular example and it shows me Hello World example. So let us look at what files it consists of. So you can see here there are a certain number of files here. There is also a Docker file. The first one is main.py. uh, so this is the code. If you look at this particular code, it is very simple example of fast API, and what it shows basically, it prints hello world example. Let me see. So fast API is, moreover, it is a powerful and flexible framework which helps you to build the web application in Python. It is easy to use, and in this you can see there you can import the fast API and then it is just printing hello world example. Along with this, what you require here is if you click on files, you can see the requirement.txt file here, and the Docker file is right here. So it starts with, okay, you start with some kind of a base image called Python 3.9 version. You want to have some directory where you want to store your source code. That is where your work directory come into the picture. You are copying your requirement.txt, also ensuring that inside a container all the required modules are installed through requirement.txt, and then you copy rest of the source code and then run a very small web server which runs on port 7860. Now, I can always treat Hugging Face spaces as a GitHub repo. So I can always go ahead and clone a repo. So it shows me like, okay, you can just say git clone with this particular example, and it's that is something which you can do. So what I have done here, if you see here, I have already cloned this fast API. I can show you the complete project directory. We have file and all these things. So what I'm going to do here is say docker build ajitrena / fast API. This is the name of the image, and here you see that this particular image, docker image, is ready. The next thing what I'm going to do here is, as I know that it runs on 7860, I'm just providing this particular port and I am just passing this command, and if I do localhost 7860, I can see the hello world example. Now such examples are good and you can run it on the Docker desktop, but imagine that there are certain models, and so I can do the same thing and I can run the app directly on my Hugging Face, right? Now let's move to other examples. The one other example is a fast API T5. So let me go here. So this is one of the other example based on fast API. I can say it is basically text to text generation. It provides you with a simple endpoint for generating text using the FLAN T5 model. So I can quickly give you an example here. This is a text prompt which says translate there are many ducks in German, and once you click on it and you can see that it has already been converted into German. Let us look into what files it consists of. So I will just go to main.py. So if you see here, this is a fast API application that provides a very simple endpoint for generating the text using a FLAN T5. So you can see here it is from Google. So the endpoint is infer T5, and it takes a single parameter called as input, which is the text to be generated, and the output, the endpoint returns a JSON object with the generated text in the output field. Now in addition to the infer T5, your application also serves static files from a static directory, which is right here, and the root route serves the index.html page from your static directory. Now to run this application, if you are doing it locally, right, again, provided that you have a GPUs in place, you can do pip install fast API transformers, and then you can run it as UVCon main app, and that should start a UVCon server on port 8000. But if you want to do the same thing on Hugging Face using a Docker file, so let us spend some time in the Docker file also. Docker files looks very simple to what we have seen. Again, you can take the base image, create a working directory where you want to store your source code. You can copy the requirement.txt under /code, add the user as the best practices, set the working directory, and then again run the same command on port 7860. Now one of the thing, if you see here, it basically creates an index page which will have a text box where you can enter a text to be generated. So this is a text prompt, and where it says okay, translate to German, and then when you click on submit or generate button, an application will call the infer T5 endpoint and generate the text. So if I have to run it on cloud, the first thing is I need to create an instance, select the hardware, ensure that I have a proper GPU in place. But Hugging Face give you that infrastructure, right? Most of the infrastructure of Hugging Face is on Google Cloud, but it is so abstracted that you don't really have to worry about it. You just select the hardware, just upload the code, and that's it. So I will show you a quick demo, like how it look like if maybe in the next section. So we talked about this. So let's have one of the example of image classification, and I'm going to show you how I can go ahead and select those spaces, select the Docker space, the sample application, and try to build it. Because right now we have just seen the existing models which we have, right? So let me click on this. So it asks me about a new space. I am going to say, like, okay, say demo 2. I am going to select the license as, say, MIT, and if you see here, I have an option of selecting the space SDK. I can just select Docker. Now once I select Docker, you will see that there are bunch of Docker templates which are right there, right? And one of the template which I am going to pick up is basically the panel demo, and I will show you what it contains. So panel demo is for the image classification. So think of it as like, if there is an image, and if I just enter or some of the inputs, then it will identify whether how close that particular input and how it identifies those images, right? So it uses a clip model, and I will also spend some time into that, which is again from Hugging Face, to classify those images into different class. So at this point of time, if you see, there are selection of hardwares here as I was talking. So there are NVIDIA T4 small, medium, all of this thing. If you are like more exhaustive is your model, so more hardware you need. So right now, since this particular example can run on even the CPU, I'm just going to select this free one and say create space. Now let's wait for some time and let us look at what it contains. So it is going to go ahead and use, so this particular code is, so let me show you the code. Till that time, you can always click here, go to the files, go to the app.py, and you can see this code. It is a panel demo for image classification. It uses a clip model. So you can see here there are a couple of clip based entries here. This demo has three main components, which is like an input widgets. These widgets allow user to input the image URL and class name, and then we have an interactive results. In the footer, we contains the links to the panel GitHub repository. So let me see if I can access the app. So you can see here it is still building. So which means that right now this particular stuff might not require the GPU, but it shows you all the logs. And once this container is ready, I should be able to see the logs here. You can see here, if you try to build it on your laptop, still it is going to work. But usually this demo works in such a way that a user will input an image URL and a class name, and when user clicks on the classify button, the process input function is called, and this function fetches the image from the URL. And then you have a classification result which get displayed in the interactive result panel. And this is a good example how to use the panel to create an interactive and user-friendly machine learning application. So right now, if you see, we started building. I can open up a container, wait for some time, but till that, let us look at our files right now. Again, Docker file is going to remain same. There are few of the changes which you can see here. There are specific commands which are passed here. There are certain permission which are specified, but again, we are sticking to the Python 3.9, and the rest of the things are self-explanatory. Let me look at the app and see. So it looks like it is still building this. So application is started right now, and soon you will see that all the three different components which this demo has. Now this is if you look at the fast API itself, right? There is uh, not fast API, but okay. So let me go back and try to see if I can do something around it. Okay, so application has started on port 7860. You can see here, and soon you will see that this demo comes up. Now let us discuss about this panel demo once again. So as I said, right, there will be a kind of an input widgets which allow user to input the image URL. So you can see here, this is an image URL. I can randomize this URL to fetch a more clear one. I just clicked on randomize URL and see this is a picture of dog. This widget allows user to input the URL, and then we have an interactive results, which is like, I just put it and they showed me the results. Here are the results, and this is a panel that displays the classification result. It is bound to the process input function, and then in the footer it contains the links to the panel GitHub repo, right? You can see here. And right now if you see here, if I say, if I input like a dog, rabbit and giraffe, and if I just click enter, so it will try to use this image URL classify, and then it will specify the class name. And if you can see, the result is there is it has make a prediction saying like 99.95% of the chances that it is a dog, and then the rabbit and giraffe is like a 0.1%. So when the user input the image URL and the class name into the input widgets, you click the classify button and the process input function is called, and this function fetches the image from the URL, and then that classification results are displayed in the interactive result panel. Now this looks good. We completed the image classification example. Now if there is any question, feel free to ask in the chat window. Definitely I would love to go ahead and answer your questions. Thank you.
It was a very helpful and informative session by Rajiv on the using the Hugging Face and along with the Docker space, right? So, and with this, we are ending our sessions. So, thank you very much for everyone who joined this session on Saturday time. Don't forget to join the Collabness meetup community. That is the meetup.com/Collabness. So we'll keep doing a lot of virtual event and physical event also. Then we do okay. I'll take this question and ask Ajit to answer on this part. Ajit is not available today. Okay. Thank you very much for your time.